Let's see who else is lining up for these two sides tonight. Beginning with the Giants, this is the team that John Sharp's hopes will do the trick. Paul Riley, as we say, at fullback. Then it's the Welshman Heffin O'Hare, Stanley Jean, Julian Bailey and Stuart Donlan, Brandon Costin and Sean Penkovic is the halfback tonight. And the forwards, Jim Gannon, Paul March, Darren Fleary, who's the skipper, Rorty and Jones, the second rows, and Chris Nero is the loose forward. And waiting their opportunity on the bench, it's Ben Cooper, Nick Slicker, Ian Morrison and Earl Crabtree, who has been described by his coach John Sharp as being an absolute giant for the Giants this season. And he is as well, he's about 6'8". Let's take a look now at Hull, and Sean Briscoe takes his place at fullback. Then it's Colin Best, Richie Barnett the captain, that's Richie Barnett Senior, Kirk Yeaman, Gareth Rayner, Paul Cook and Richard Horn. Up front it's Ewan Dowes, Richard Swain and Gareth Carvell, Shane McMenemy, Paul McNicholas in the second row, and Chris Chester is the loose forward. There's no Paul King there, you may notice, he's unwell. And on the bench for Hull it's Graham Horn, first appearance of the season for him, Peter Lupton, Liam Higgins, the young prop forward, and Richard Whiting, the man they brought in from Featherstone. The coach is Sean McRae. Well, I've already mentioned that Paul Riley has signed a new deal for the Huddersfield Giants this year, but he's not the only one, and we can check out the news of all the others who have got new arrangements here by joining Bill Arthur on the side.
Well, that's right, Eddie. Things are really going well for the Giants at the moment. Paul Riley signed a new 2-year deal. He's been joined in that commitment by Paul March, the Giants scrum half, and by Irish international prop forward Mick Slicker, which is great news for the club, and I think testimony to the effort that's being put in behind the scenes. And of course, Chairman Ken Davey, who has stuck with this club through thick and thin. They've had their fair share of thin. It's looking a bit thicker at the moment. Unfortunately, the crowd isn't, and they're still really battling to get through to the Huddersfield public, that they've got a side that is really contesting Super League at the moment and that is worth supporting, and let's hope that the message is getting through. Average crowds here have gone up by about 500 so far this season, so if they can continue with that, then they will have some reward for their efforts. As you've mentioned, Eddie, Hull go into this game without Paul King. The news there is that he's developed a viral infection and had to pull out at the last minute. They're hoping that it's not going to be a long-term problem, unlike some of their other injury problems that they have. The likes of Jason Smith, Steve Prescott, Rich Fletcher, all still out, will be for several more weeks yet. But you know, the side that Sean McRae's putting out there on the pitch isn't doing a bad job. 15 tries against Salford last weekend, although they are anticipating a much tougher challenge tonight.
Huddersfield are a form side at the moment. They're 6 out of 8 in the Super League. They qualified for the semi-final of the Cup, and you know, I think over the last 2 years you'd have to say they're one of the best improvers in the Super League competition. They play with tremendous structure. They play with a lot of spirit, a lot of passion. Very well drilled, and I expect them to play very well tonight, which means that we're going to have to play well if we want to beat them.
But you are in very good shape yourselves, aren't you?
Well, we're coming off the back of 2 very good wins against Bradford and Salford, and you know, yes, we are confident mood and we are playing well, and you know, obviously our standing on the table is exactly the same as Huddersfield, which makes it a tremendous game. But you know, we need to come out and continue that form, and not go off the back of last week and think we can just turn up and go through the motions. If we do that, we'll get beat.
Just finally, how important is it that the fact that you've got pivotal positions being fairly consistent at the moment, the likes of Richard Horn, Paul Cook, Richard Swain?
Oh, it's a great benefit to any team. I think that, you know, those guys, they obviously touch the ball a lot more than everybody else. They're involved in the kicking game, and they're very influential in everything that happens. It doesn't matter what field position you're in, they're going to be calling and talking and involved in the plays. And you know, those guys have got a great understanding amongst themselves and a great understanding amongst the other players. So it's very, very important.
Yeah. John, how does it feel to be described as one of the form teams of Super League at the moment?
I feel very proud, obviously. You know, you set yourself goals at the start of the season, and to be where we're at and now we're playing as well as, you know, is a massive boost for us.
To bounce back from the hammering you suffered in the Cup semi-final with a victory at Warrington, it says something about your side, doesn't it?
I think it does, and you know, particularly the work that we put in after the game as well, after the Saints' performance. Obviously, we were disappointed in how we played, but you know, we addressed that immediately afterwards, and we had a great week leading up to Warrington.
From a personal point of view, as an ex-Hull player, this must be quite a special night for you, coaching against them.
It is. It's a special club. I had 11 years there, and there were some fantastic times, and it's great to bump into some old faces.
And put one over on him.
That goes without saying. Yeah.
All the best.
Thank you.
Now the two captains emerged a few moments ago. Darren Fleary tossing the coin, Richie Barnett calling with the referee Russell Smith. Just assessing the situation, deciding what to do. Darren Fleary says they'll go that way, and Bill is waiting in the wings to talk to the two captains.
Richie, Darren, if we can grab a quick word. First up, this lot are going pretty well. You must be expecting a tough test.
Oh, definitely. We're both on 12 points, so it's going to be a tough encounter, no doubt, at their home ground. So we're looking forward to the match.
Wish you all the best.
Thanks, mate.
Let's bring Darren Fleary in, the Giants captain. Well, he said it, they're expecting big things from you tonight.
Yeah, I think we're not going to disappoint, and we're ready to play, and everybody's ready to go.
All the best.
Thanks.
Not too much talking done by the two captains, obviously going to let their actions speak louder than their words, and I wonder whether Richie Barnett or Darren Fleary will be going home with this tonight. The Watchers man of the match. Will Sean Briscoe get his hands on one of those at long last? We shall see. The Huddersfield Giants have exceeded all of the expectations so far this year, up against Hull this evening, who ran in a club record Super League victory last Sunday, 82-6 over Salford. So Hull are on fire. But in the Huddersfield dressing room, they beat Wakefield on Easter Monday to go third. They lost the semi-final badly, but they beat Warrington last Sunday, and they could be third again after this match here. Hull just 2 wins from the last 9 in 2003. They fell out of the playoff race, but 7th last year means the bottom half of the draw this year. They won't meet any of the top 5 3 times during the course of 2004. Well, the rain has dried up, but it's still a murky night in Huddersfield. This is the team. Riley at fullback, then it's O'Hare, Jean, Bailey and Donlan, Costin and Pankovic. The forwards, Gannon, March and the captain, Fleary, Rorty, Jones and Nero. And the bench is occupied by Cooper, Slicker, Morrison and Crabtree. Coach is John Sharp, a former loose forward at Hull in the 80s and 90s. Big night for him. Now the men from Hull, Briscoe at fullback, Best, Barnett the skipper, Yeaman, Rayner, Cook and Horn. Forwards, Dowes, Swain, Carvel. The two Macs in the second row, McMenemy and McNicholas, and Chester is the loose forward. And the substitutes waiting their chance, Graham Horn, first appearance of the season for him, Lupton, Higgins and Whiting. Coach Sean McRae. Well, injuries wrecked their year in 2003. They have recruited well for this year, a greater depth and some shrewd young signings. They won 26-18 at Oxford 2 weeks ago, a significant victory, their second away win of the year, and of course they ran in 15 tries against Salford last Sunday. Richie Barnett, the former New Zealand international, he's missed the last 2 and he's back for this battle at the McAlpine, and they're welcomed onto the field by a sizable contingent from Hull. The Giants, the perennial wooden spoonists that began to stir last year under Tony Smith, and under John Sharp they have got even better. And with Hull they boast one of the meanest defences in Super League. 29 tries conceded by Huddersfield, 22 conceded by Hull. They lost the Challenge Cup semi-final against St Helens 46-6. They lost at Leeds the week before that match in Super League 38-6. But they lacked 6 of their first teamers that night. John Sharp with 11 years at Hull, including 2 Premiership finals at Old Trafford, and positively no visitors allowed inside there tonight. The Giants emerge for a very big test of their top 6 credentials.
Certainly is, Eddie, and the big match-up at standoff is something I am looking forward to seeing. We saw a couple of weeks ago Brandon Costin, he played against Danny Maguire, completely shut him out of the game. Okay, Huddersfield were not at full strength that particular evening, but his clash with Paul Cook will be very interesting indeed. We know the capabilities of the 2 halfbacks for Hull, Cook and Horn, and it'll be interesting to see when Sean McRae throws in the brother Graham Horn First opportunity this season, and it's always good to see the two brothers work together.
Russell Smith is the match referee. He's going to Rugby tomorrow to officiate in the conference game between Rugby Raiders and Wolverhampton Wizards. The game is at Rugby School, and it's the first ever competitive game on the close since 1823, when William Webb Ellis picked up the ball and ran with it. Probably the first ever competitive game of rugby league.
Allegedly.
Russell Smith, big day for him tomorrow, but an even bigger night here this evening. Hull to get us underway then. Chester kicks the game off. Underneath it is the fullback, Paul Riley. Gets the ball away to Julian Bailey. It's a great start from Huddersfield. Bailey, and he's got through and he's got support. What a start, and Richard Hall hauls him down. It was Stuart Jones who was on the diagonal run. What a start from the kickoff by Huddersfield.
Wonderful stuff. There's Jones just being hooked. No doubt about it. It was high, no swinging arm, but what great play by the fullback, Paul Riley. Riley did ever so well, got Bailey away. It was quite elusive. And you can see their sheer desperation from the halfback Richard Horn, but more pressure. But we talked about the confidence about this Giant side. Can't get much better than that.
Yes, burning the opportunity of 2 points because they fancy more. This is Stanley Jean. They were only 30 metres away from the goal and they were banging centre field, but no thoughts of 2. They're looking for 6. And with Darren Fleary.
And it's good tactics as well from John Sharp and the Huddersfield side. Remember, Hull had quite an easy game last week. They rattled in a lot of points against Salford. So they were trying to catch this Hull outfit very quickly.
Early and heavy challenge on Brandon Costin. He limps away.
He's in trouble.
The ball is driven forward here by Ben Rorty.
He's running to the side. Well, he's struggling to run to the sidelines, get treatment.
March, angle kick, but straight into the arms of the Hull defender, and here come Hull now on the counter. And that is McMenemy.
Took it well. Not only that, didn't decide just to die with the football. Made sure he was on the run.
We could be in for a fast, open game if the opening 2 minutes of this match are anything to go by. Here is Richard Swain. That's good defence though from Huddersfield. And Costin's in trouble on the wing, Bill.
He certainly is, Eddie. In fact, he's just left the pitch now, and Ben Cooper has come on in his place. And Brandon Costin's been around long enough to know that when a hamstring goes, there's not much point in staying out there. And that exactly, I think, is what happened to him. And they left him on there. He made that tackle just a moment ago, and then signalled that was it. And I think it's the hamstring.
Oh, that's a crushing blow for the Huddersfield Giants. Apart from the fact that they lose their talisman, that is one substitution less that they can make if it is a hamstring. Because if that is twanged, Steve-O, Costin will not be back.
That is for sure. Well, he may be back, but he'll certainly be running around about 50%, and they can't afford to do that, especially in Super League. The fitness levels are so high. But what a cracking start.
Fantastic start. And this is Rorty, who joined us from the Riverbank on Boots and All on his mobile phone on Wednesday night. Here is Riley. He was fishing with Heffin O'Hare, his wing colleague. Was Ben Rorty. This is Darren Fleary now, the Huddersfield captain. Bounces off 2. Last tackle just over the halfway line in Hull territory. And the kick is from March. It will turn Briscoe around. And back comes Briscoe. Just looking at this McAlpine Stadium field, I must say that the in-goal areas are as deep as I have ever seen them here this evening. John Sharp has extended them considerably compared to last year. This is Gareth Rayner. He gets the ball away to Richard Swain. And good hands, and it's out wide to Richie Barnett. He's inside Stanley Jean. It was a good job that Donlan was there to halt the New Zealander.
Good play though by Richie Barnett, the New Zealander, certainly showing his skill and ability.
Ewan Dowes now for Hull.
I must say though, both sides looking to offload.
Crushing blow for Huddersfield though, the fact that Costin's off. Swain with a dab over the top towards those deep in goals. And Paul Riley with work to do and cannot do it because Colin Best was after him. And there is Costin, and already there's ice on the hamstring. and he looks pretty disconsolate, doesn't he?
He's such a key figure in this Giants outfit. We posed the question. This is the kick here from Richard Swain. See the backspin yet again. There was nothing that Riley could do about that. Colin Bess, and this is, he pulled it there. As soon as he got the ball, he tried to just step off the left. And he knows that he won't be back.
Well, it's iced. He'll be hoping it's just a tweak rather than a twang. Richard Swain, the dummy half for Hull, in centre field, midway inside the Giants' half of the field. This is Carvel.
Ben Rorty there, just giving a facial.
It's with Richard Horn, comes on to Paul Cook, and a drive forward by the number 23, who is Paul McNicholas.
Another problem, it looks like Stuart Jones has picked up an injury as well. They've also picked up the penalty, messing around by the prop forward Jim Gannon, but there is Jones. Well, this is a horrific start for the Giants.
Well, it is after a bright start in attack, that first attack. But since then, they've picked up two major injuries.
Well, a big second row of Paul McNicholas there, and he's just stretching through. Stuart Jones had to stretch his body, twisted it in the tackle. There's the culprit to give away the penalty. Not surprisingly, Jim Gannon, no doubt about it, he was all over him. Interesting to see that Hull quite happy not to play the positive side of things. We'll take the two. We saw a couple of moments ago, Eddie, that Huddersfield, Giants said, we don't want two on offer, we want to really stretch them.
Well, Hull have taken the easier option, if there is such a thing in the Super League. And this is Paul Cook with the opportunity for the first point of the night, and he strokes it over the top of the crossbar quite easily. And Paul Cook, by the way, will be our guest on Boots and All on Sky Sports on Wednesday night. He's journeying down to talk to us in the studio. Let's get to the sideline, and Dave Hadfield is there, the spokesman for the representatives of the Rugby League media, and he's going to talk now about possible man of the match contenders.
Perhaps the scariest aspect of the 80-odd points that Hull scored last weekend was the fact that Richie Barnett didn't play and Colin Best didn't score. I wonder if they'll take their frustrations out tonight. For Huddersfield, I was really impressed with Earl Crabtree last week. His offloading was sensational. He's not in the game yet, but when he does come on, if he has a similar sort of impact, it's going to be very hard to look beyond him.
Candidates there, and there is Earl Crabtree right on the back end of that shot, waiting his opportunity. And with Costin off the field and with Stuart Jones running an injury off, you get the feeling it mightn't be long before he comes on. This now is Gareth Carvel. It's a big test of the way Huddersfield can regroup, Steve-O, after those early blows.
Certainly is. I mean, Brandon Costin is such an important factor. Organises things out there, and the combination between him and Paul March was so important for John Sharp's build-up to this game. But they're a tough outfit for the Giants. No easy beats anymore.
Richard Horn, good long ball, and this is McNicholas, and here they come again. Carl McNicholas takes the return and will score the try.
Bit dubious on a forward pass there, I felt. The Giants, he can't go to the screen for a forward pass.
He just checked with his touch judge then and said line ball, and the touch judge nodded. I think the call was from the touch judge that this was a line ball. But McNicholas scores the try.
I think he's got it wrong. Take nothing away from the pass from Richard Horn. There he is on that. Now then, that's forward. Now look at the referee. I think Russell Smith was going to go for it, and then he stopped. He must have got the nod from the Melly flag waiver, but I must say, this should never have been a try. Nowhere near. Kirk Human did well. Oh, that is a mile forward. And they have suffered badly. I cannot believe that the official has had that. Surprisingly, on the replay, we could see quite clearly Mr. Smith, there he is in the screen now. One of the most experienced referees we have, surprisingly, couldn't find the P.
He checked with his touch judge, to be fair to him, and the touch judge said it was all right, it was a line ball. And the rain is tumbling down now, as you can see, as Paul Cook lines this conversion attempt up. This for an 8-0 lead. It is 8-0. The kick is good from Cook. Huddersfield 0, Hull 8.
Well, as if the Giants hadn't had enough problems with 2 injuries, Stuart Jones and Brandon Costin, who's off the field. This is a pass there, no momentum rule involved in that. You can see that Richard Horne, when he actually released that ball, he ran into a man, he'd stopped, take nothing away from McNicholas, made the break, got the ball out to Yeaman, who kept his cool. But that should never have been 6 points for the black and whites.
Paul McNicholas, his first try of the Super League season. And Hull in possession again here with Carvel trying to wrestle a couple off him. Richard Swain waits the dummy half. He gets the ball away. And here is McNicholas again. Hounded by 3. And another Huddersfield player goes down. Holding his head this time. The kick over the top. And this will, skip away from Riley nearly, but took it brilliantly, the fullback in the end. And the man who is injured is Chris Nero. Problems with the neck. Phil Clark, these are desperate moments for Huddersfield.
Yeah, yes, we've only been going for 10 minutes, but Hull do seem a complete side the way they played the game. They've got the advantage of having a hooker who can kick the ball from the dummy half position, which makes them even more dangerous. And even though the try came on the left-hand side of the field, I just think that Richie Barnett and Colin Best on this right will cause problems for Huddersfield as the game progresses.
It's March, and now Heffin O'Hare, who spins away from 1 and spins away from 2. Ewan Dowes gets to him the second attempt. That's the last tackle though. They're just over the halfway line, and it's with Stanley Jean. Once upon a time with Hull, of course he really made his name with Hull Kingston Rovers. The kick is collected by Colin Best, and he's through the first defender, but he couldn't get away from Rorty.
We saw the man making the tackle there. Eddie's already mentioned him, Stanley Jean.
High shot on Briscoe, and it's Stanley Jean who's picked out by the referee.
Well, rather surprising, in the semi-final, he did quite a lot of this, did Stanley Jean. He certainly wasn't fit for that particular game, and no doubt about it. The young fullback felt it. Just making that point that with so many disruptions, they're going to have to start looking at the likes of their 2 half-backs, Paul March, and of course Stanley Jean's got into the standoff position with Costin being off the field. They're no strangers, they play together several times, but boy, they need to lift them.
Good start for Sean McRae though. Here is Richard Swain. Brings Richie Barnett into it. He hands it on then to Gareth Carvel. Swain coming in to take charge at dummy half again. Richard Horne. Little gap opened up there for Richard Horne. It was closed quickly by Nehru, who seems to be running off this neck injury. Now it's with Chester, and the ball went behind Barnett, but picked up by Colin Best. And that wasn't a knock-on, says Russell Smith. It's play on the last tackle.
He got it right. Ricocheted backwards.
Huddersfield have it back. But it's Huddersfield knock-on the call of the touch judge again. Hull will get head and feed at this scrum.
Well, was it a knock-on to start with? No, he's got it right. He's got it spot on. Chris Chester was trying to offload the ball. They were telling the officials and the touch judge that he certainly got fingertips to it. And he went for the ball, more pressure.
Ben Cooper, the man with the knock-on. This is Chester. Here is Briscoe.
But he was looking for the second phase there, but non-forthcoming.
Briscoe looking for his 8th try in 3 matches. He's been on fire over the past 2 weeks, has Sean Briscoe. This meanwhile is Ewan Dowes. Takes the tackle. Richard Swain. Missed out Carvel and found Richard Horne. And a wide ball to Gareth Rayner, and he couldn't take the pass in.
That was try time as well. It was well worked by Hull. See how they just sucked in the sliding defence. Not the best pass from Paul Cook and Rayner, but look how it just teases him. They had the overlap. It was an easy try. Went forward from this fella.
Torrid opening to this match, Brian Noble, for the Huddersfield Giants.
Goodness gracious me, yes. They started well. They had a little game plan stuff there, a little short side move straight from the kick-off, and you thought they'd stolen the initiative. The reality is Hull have been playing a better football at the moment. They look dangerous, their halves are probing and prodding and bringing back people on different angles, and then they look very dangerous on the flanks. A tough call for Huddersfield to start the game with the forward pass, but they've got to roll their sleeves up, and there's a huge emphasis now on their halves. Penkovic, Stanley Jean and March have to show up because their spiritual leader and their playmaker Brandon Costin's off the field.
You mentioned Brandon Costin, Brian. What sort of message do you send out to the players?
You send a message out, you just restructure a little bit, and you get somebody else to take that responsibility. You put a little bit more on Stanley Jean's shoulders, you put a little bit more on Sean Penkovic's shoulders, you ask everybody else to give you an extra 5% and find a way to get forward and find a way to play. They'll be confident they can do that.
It's Ewan Dowes for Hull, and there is Costin waiting on the bench to see if the hamstring can repair enough, as McNicholas once again drives it forward. He's featured in every match so far this year. Paul McNicholas.
He's impressed me as well that after Sean McRae utilised him just wide of the centres.
Carvel loses the ball in the ferocity of the challenge. This now is Julian Bailey. Now then, Paul Riley. Good run from Riley again.
Good thinking as well from the fullback. You could see that Hull were a little bit slow, just getting themselves organised.
Stuart Jones.
He looks as though he's shaken off that problem earlier.
Penkovic gets it away to Jim Gannon. Gannon spinning as he hit the man in the collision.
And at times like this, 8 points adrift, you've got to start saying Stanley Jean's got to take them on.
Well, there is Stanley Jean. There's the crossfield ball. He was looking for Riley, but he found Briscoe.
But it's a move that they've used several times, Huddersfield. This is though Stanley Jean going out to the left-hand side towards the touchline. Then he kicks the ball back on the inside. But obviously Sean McRae and the players, they have been watching the video. Sean Briscoe was as solid as a rock then.
This is Gareth Rayner. He's away from Fleary. But Jean is there, and also Chris Nero to bring him down. Struggles to his feet, plays the ball to Richard Swain. Now it's Chester again. Chester released the ball.
Was it ripped out? No, knock on. Well, it's wet out there. No, you wouldn't have thought it, would you, for the first 15 minutes or so. No doubt about it, the man was going in for the tackle.
You're going to bind and stay in. Got it! Stay in the pack.
So Huddersfield with head and feet at this scrum. And some scores for you. 2-0 to Warrington after a quarter of an hour at Headingley against the leaders, Leeds. St Helens is 6-4 up against Wakefield after a quarter of an hour. And Wigan 10-0 over Widnes also after a quarter of an hour. 3 other games taking place in the Tetley Super League this Friday night.
Huddersfield quite happy to work this very short blind side. So they're obviously looking for the kick.
Penkovic went without it.
Well, the idea was there, but you've got to make sure you get all the shopping in the basket.
This is Richard Horn. The ball is lost. March.
Play on. Good refereeing there. It was 1-on-1. It was reefed out.
Tackled by Yeaman, finished off by Swain. This is Heffin O'Hare. Bailey, not standing square.
And they worked for that, did the Giants. And they've got it. Exactly the penalty, and from that, the field position. And they were fortunate to come back from that because Penkovic made a real meal of it.
An opportunity then here for Ben Rorty for the Giants, but offload to Marge. He finds Jim Gannon. Gannon is halted 10 metres away from the Hull line. 2 apiece the penalties. March did well to hold on to that. Here is Mick Slicker now for the Giants underneath the Hull posts.
A little bit too flat there. Slicker should have been standing back another couple of metres to run onto the football.
Stanley Jean, back to Riley.
Again we see that inside pass. It's only effective if you've got someone coming onto it, not standing still.
And Jean, wide it goes. Here's Stanley Jean again. He finds Slicker. And so far the whole defence stands firm. Can it on the last tackle in this set of 6?
It's got to be the short kick.
Penkovic stabs the ball to the in-goal area. And it runs just too deep.
And that's a reason why John Sharp, the Huddersfield coach, has opted for a very, very wide in-goal area.
Well, it's normally around about on where the goal line is in the soccer markings here, and it's a good 2 or 3 metres deeper than that.
Well, they've obviously been training towards that practice to get in the kick, but it wasn't the best.
More news on Brandon Costin, Steve O'Bill.
Just confirmation, Eddie, that it is a hamstring injury. First touch of the ball, Brandon Costin says. First step in the game, really. And a hamstring went twang. He won't be back tonight.
Costin will not be back tonight. Yeeman, meanwhile, has knocked on to play the ball.
Well, there was certainly plenty of hands in there, and that really should have been picked up by the officials. Jim Gannon deliberately goes for the ball here.
Just hold it down, Gannon.
Yeah. So how on earth can that be a knock on the other way? A bit difficult. Referee, of course, doesn't have the slow motion replay.
Another good pickup by March. Here is Jones. McNicholas with the tackle. Riley tackled by Cook and Richard Swain, who drills him into the deck. Didn't like it, Riley. Pushing and shoving. That's the one thing about Paul Riley. He's a little bit of a fiery character at times when things aren't going right. That's a good tackle on Ben Rorty, though, by Richard Horn.
You can't be too soft in this game, Eddie. You've got to act confident, look confident. That's a mistake. Bailey couldn't handle that football. The only negative about the fact that Paul Riley, when he made that run, is that they would have been better served. There's a mistake by the centre, Bailey. They would have been better served by him playing the ball very quickly, and the mere fact that he pushed the opposition away gave Hull time to get their defence set.
Here's Gareth Carvel again.
Eddie, you know, that man just coming back to a couple of weeks ago when we saw Hull playing against the Bradford side, and in that game Bradford threw a lot at them in attack, but the whole defensive effort, particularly close to its own try line, was what lasted in my memory really as the outstanding contribution they made to the game. It seems again tonight that they're really looking very, very strong, even when defending close to the line. That's another poor kick goal. I'll tell you what, the way they're playing and they're coughing up possession, they're going to have to do a fair bit of it too.
Here's the kick from Richard Horn. Was going for a 40-20, but as you will see here, it sails out on the full.
Just a bit too strong. I'd be disappointed with that. Really has fitted in well, hasn't he, Richard Horn? A lot of responsibility came onto the scene.
Well, he's only 21. He's got 9 caps for Great Britain. He's a seasoned campaigner even at those tender years. That was touched by Briscoe. Did he go for the ball or did he go for the man?
For the man. Well, he loves to go looking for work, doesn't he, Paul Riley? And that's what I like about his particular play.
Oh, good offload. Nero. It's a great offload by Slicker. Hull quickly snuffed the danger out with Swain and Chester. Come down the centre of the field with Gannon. Met by the try scorer McNicholas and Gareth Carvel, but he still gets the ball away. And this is Penkovic.
Great offloading, you know, in such wet conditions. That shows you the confidence that the Giants have. They're not out of this, don't worry.
Stanley Jean back on the inside, it comes. Good defence though from Hull.
Had to be as well. Chris Chester, ball and all tackle, supreme.
Stanley Jean off the legs of Rorty, went back. March gets away from a couple, dabs the ball towards that goal line. It bounced unkindly for Briscoe. Bailey caught him high.
He sure did. Just a lunge. No real malice behind it. Just grabbing. Looks a lot worse than what it is. Just tried to grab him. He knew it. He was pulling away at the last moment as well.
This is going to go on report, I think. The referee has called the touch judge on and the 2 captains.
Well, I've seen worse, but as I say, they do not have the benefit of the doubt or the
precaution. We've got an out 6
the video
play that appeared to be turning.
Replay.
But I've still got an eye contact, which I'm a bit concerned about, so it's going on report zone. Okay.
It's on report. He just had the high contact, he said, but he's a little concerned about the referee. So John Sharp knows that Julian Bailey has maybe an anxious wait while that video is studied by the powers that be. Richard Swain then, Gareth Carvel.
And it's good to see the officials taking that option. You know, if they're not 100%, you know, don't ruin the game by sending someone off.
Hull gained promotion back to Super League with a 31-18 defeat of Huddersfield here in 1997. When it was obvious that Paris were going to drop out also, Huddersfield joined them in the top flight. Of course, Huddersfield have had their ups and downs since.
Rather surprising there, we've just seen the New Zealander Richard Swain make the first run from dummy half. Nearly 25 minutes into it, that is a great kick.
And that's a great piece of work from Richie Barnett. Enthusiastic chase. He was being pushed and stumbled as well as he made the tackle on Paul Riley.
And with an 8-point lead, when you keep coming up with the basic football like this, kicked into the corner by Chris Chester. Done a lot of work, hasn't he, Paul Riley, so far.
Stay behind the line, lads.
Richie Barnett, he's a character, and so is this fella as well. Perfect gentleman.
Deep drop out.
That went backwards.
Lucky to get away with that. This is Briscoe. Only just on the field, Peter Lupton.
Did well there just to get the fingertips to it, make sure that it did propel back to his own sticks.
Hands up two. Get squared again.
Richard Swain, and now Horn. On the angled run comes Yeaman.
Not surprisingly in these conditions.
Sorry, it's not Yeaman, it's Ewan Dowd.
Not surprisingly in these conditions, it's going to be a forward battle, or you'd think it would be, but both sides, well, they're keen to get it out wide, which rather surprises me, especially Hull, with that 8-point lead.
Richard Horn with another kick over the top. Briscoe's chasing after this. Heffin O'Hare has picked it up, but they're going to get a repeat set of 6. Hull.
That really takes it out of you. Great basic rugby league football. He did everything he could, Heffin O'Hare, to try to get back into the field of play. And it looks as though Richard Horn is up for this one. The biggest danger, as I mentioned, Eddie, is that such a convincing win and an easy win against Salford often leaves you a little bit overconfident, trying a little bit too much, but they've knuckled up for it.
And the third goal line drop out and a penalty here because interference with the play of the ball by the Papua New Guinea international Stanley Jean.
Just losing a cool of it. And Stanley losing the plot somewhat and then hanging around when he really should have been getting away from the play the ball area, and little doubt that Hull will go for the 2 points on offer, slow things down.
Well, they have the penalty, and Paul Cook is going to have another shot at goal, but Carl Briscoe has left the field. Bill has got some news.
Yeah, Sean Briscoe's gone straight off with what looks like a nasty cut in the mouth, a legacy of that high tackle he was just the victim of. And I think he might be paying the price, you know, for his little rash of try scoring with 7 tries in his last 2 games. He's certainly a man that the Giants have got to keep an eye on.
Indeed so. And we have to keep an eye on Paul Cook here to see if he can add the 2 points. This is his 72nd consecutive appearance, by the way, for the England A International in over 2 years. And Cook here with a kick. And he's missed it. Didn't get it dead. Oh, but Ben Cooper has lost it. There's a try on here. And they have scored through Whiting. Ben Cooper with a huge blunder. Nothing wrong with it, says Russell Smith. The try is given. And Richard Whiting, the 19-year-old who was signed from Featherstone, comes up with his 4th try of the year for Hull. And he won't score an easier one than that.
To be expected as well. All came about by the fact it wasn't a very good attempt for the 2 points from the penalty. And Ben Cooper spills the football. Did everything right, didn't he? Just squeezed it there as we're going down from him. A neat little dummy as well by Whiting. It's a gift. Such a vital time in this first half. No doubt about the grounding.
Cruel game, isn't it? Hull go for 2 points. They might come up here with 6.
It sure is, but you've got to make sure that you keep hold of the possession. It is absolutely teeming down now. Well, this is a bigger hill to climb for the Giants. Need more than the beanstalk for this one, I'm afraid. It's especially with the man at the moment, Brandon Costin, so much experience. A lot of the youngsters surround him. And with him being off, it's a problem.
Oh, but Paul Cook has missed with another. So they went for 4. They went for 2 rather. They end up with 4. Hull are ahead by 12 points to 0. It doesn't get any easier, Brian Noble, for the Giants.
No, and what's refreshing from both teams is we see the conditions here, and they will have planned to play a different way with expansion. And I think the challenge for both sets of players is the fact that they've got to stay with that. If they're prepared to play that way, they've got to try and still play the football. I think the difference between the two sides at the moment is the quality of the whole kicking game. They've been patient at the right end of the field. They come up with 3 great kicks that saps your energy when it comes down to the tackling stakes, and then the unforced error there on Paul Ben Cooper, and Hull come up with the points because a direct result of their great kicking game.
And remarkably, it's Hull who are enjoying the better fortune with the deep in goal areas.
Yes, but as we've said, I think the difference is that Huddersfield, when they've been at Hull's end, haven't quite found the right last play to get the ball back, and Hull have. Now, they need to use those big in goals, especially in these conditions, because we've seen that both teams are making unforced errors because of the conditions, and tackle technique comes into play. If you can hit underneath the ball, you have a fair chance of lodging it this loose.
Okay, Ewan Dowes for Hull. Half an hour of the match gone.
Once again, Eddie, we see the enthusiasm shown by the second rower, Paul McNicholas. He really has impressed me with his, well, he keeps hunting for the ball, wants it all the time, creating all sorts of problems out wide.
Here's Carvel. They went for the gap then, and 2 of them missed it. Whiting was hunting, but Huddersfield come up with it. This is Riley.
Well, it looked as though they were both going to be dummy runners, and then the ball just went in between them. It's the first real error. Now then, this could turn the tide somewhat. He's been in wonderful form as this fella.
And he got a bit of a bang under the chin there by Carvel, and rightly, penalty goes Crabtree's way.
See a little bit of claret just creeping out. Oh, that was a bad one. Well, I know you've got to try to get over the opposition, especially in the forwards, but we can do without that, and that really has just given the Giants maybe just a little bit of a sniff here.
This is Jones. Yeaman was after him, so too McNicholas. Penkovic is the dummy half for Huddersfield. Come down the short side with Rorty. Penkovic to March. Here's Stanley Jean again. Good ball.
Good tackle as well by Richard Horne. He read it superbly.
It was Ian Morrison who picked up the pack. Oh! And he nearly got rid of it, Chris Nero, but he managed to hold on as he hit the deck. And a stab from Penkovic, and the ball is shuttled dead by Colin Best. And Huddersfield get their first goal line drop out of the match.
Well, it was a penalty that they gave away, gave them good field position, and it had to be something very special from Colin Best.
Keep down the line, lads.
Just held on to it, didn't he? Great effort there.
Did well, Nero.
Come on, Peter.
So the first goal line drop out of the match for Hull. And Peter Lupton, with ball in hand, the man who's going to take it. Needs length on it. Gets the length to halfway. Oops, and O'Hare did well. He just brought the right foot back at the right time. Otherwise, he was still in the whitewash.
Well, I think he was thinking about, but if he'd have taken that with her over, it would have been out on the full, wouldn't it? Penalty right in front of the sticks. I think he was thinking about one way or the other. Decided very late in the piece to bring his foot back into the field of play.
Well, maybe when you think about it, then he should have left his foot where it was. Oh, March, it was dipping around his ankles. He couldn't do much with that, to be fair.
Well, it's a sad day for them because the responsibility certainly is on the shoulders of this guy, Paul March, who has improved so much this season.
Carvel with a problem.
Interesting that dropout. And John Sharp, the Huddersfield Giants coach, would have known that great opportunity to be right at 10 minutes, right in front of the sticks. Probably they would have gone for the tap rather than the 2 on offer.
Another note goes in the book. Studious people, aren't they, these rugby league coaches?
Well, I turned around hoping that Brian Noble perhaps was writing something in a note and is having a pleasant cup of tea at the moment.
I'm sure you have a very thick file somewhere, Brian.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there. I've just got to get out of this rain and write some notes down, Eddie. I think I'm shaking my head with cold. It's the studious notes John Sharp will be taking will help his team at half time. He needs to give them a little bit of direction
And as I say, I think the difference at the moment is just the strength of Hull's kicking game and their patience. If Huddersfield had that to their arsenal, then in the second half it'll be a completely different story.
You've got to be admiring, of course, this whole defence. It's been pretty solid.
Absolutely, and that was a feature of their performance at Bradford a couple of weeks ago, is that when they had to, they rolled their sleeves up and everybody was counted in their line. They're pretty confident at the moment, defensively as well as with the ball.
Get in the pack, Peter. Peter, get it.
Well, Gareth Carvell is walking underneath the sticks as Hull have this head and feed at the scrum. Let's get some impressions as we see another break here from Richard Whiting. Let's get some impressions on the sideline from Phil now.
It's just an impression, Eddie, really, of the my opinion on John Sharp, really. I think to be a great coach, you've got to be an innovator rather than an imitator, and he's prepared to try different things with his side. You just saw then that scrum, something you've probably not seen for almost a decade in Rugby League. He's got occasionally his team really putting on a big push, and you think that you're fitter and stronger than your opponents, then maybe that's one way of sapping their energy, even if you don't get the ball back.
Richard Swain. Another kick over the top, another invitation for Colin Best to chase it. Oh, what an awkward bounce on that far side. And Barnett closed quickly down on the man in possession, Donlan.
That is one thing that Hull certainly have had. They've had the rub of the green so far. The first try, McNicholas should never have been allowed. It was at least a metre forward. And the Giants cannot just stand back and say, well, we haven't had much luck. The harder you work, the more luckier you often become. And they're muscling up now. They were struggling to get over the advantage line early in this game, but their confidence is coming through.
Here's the kick from Stanley Jean, left-footed over the top. And the ball bounces kindly, but Huddersfield offside. There's no way that Richard Whiting was given 10 metres grace then by the players in front of the kicker, and Briscoe waiting to come back on at Cutmouth. Leads ahead now against Warrington 6-2, 5 to half-time there as well. Wakefield leading St Helens at Nosey Road, and Wigan 16-0 ahead of Widnes. Here at the McAlpine Stadium, 12-0 to Hull, and they're in possession.
Let him on quickly.
Richard Swain in centre field.
Shot, Stanley, come on.
The ball flicked back, but it was risky. It was too risky, and Richard Horn swung a boot then, and Earl Crabtree was brave to go down there where the studs were flying.
Well, he certainly was brave, but the stupidity there from Richard Swain. You're leading 12-0, you're in the Giants half, taking full control. We've already seen their ability in the kicking stakes from the black and whites, and for them to pull up with something fancy, they really don't have to chase this game at the moment. They're in full control.
This is Bailey on the last tackle.
You lost that.
Riley, the crossfield kick. Colin Best funnels back to pick it up on the first bounce, and Best is quick. And good job that Stanley Jean got to him. That's good defence.
Good positional play as well. We've seen that on a few occasions early in the game. Sean Briscoe, Colin Best, a couple of occasions now. And maybe the tactics from John Sharp at half-time will change the second stanza. Maybe just a little chip over the top.
Dowes has got to do a lot of work in the first half for Hull. Swain waits again. Liam Higgins is behind Swain, but he comes this way and he finds McNicholas. He attracts the attention of 3 Huddersfield Giants. The rain is teeming down, as it has been from about the 3rd or 4th minute of this match. Richard Horn, and it goes to Lupton. Oh, he's away from Stanley Jean. Gets the ball in then to Chester. Good ball then on to Whiting again.
Shown up
from Hull.
Shown up well, hasn't it, the substitute Richard Whiting. But talking about players really improving, Eddie, you've got to take your hat off to Peter Lupton there. Some wonderful stepping skills in wet conditions.
And great skill there from Stanley Jean to diffuse the little nick through.
Look at that. Just the body sway back on the inside. Chester making ground. Just losing their shape slightly at Huddersfield in their defensive pattern. But that's been brought about, I would say, by they'll be a little bit tired. Remember, Hull's kicking game has turned them around time and time again in this first half.
Good tackle at the ruck by Richard Swain on Sean Penkiewicz. Real busy. That bounces off her whole ankle and is gobbled up by Paul Cook.
Very sensible as well, the stand-off Cook. Realised that there was no point in trying to struggle. Just make sure that you've got possession of that ball.
This is Gareth Rayner, such a difficult man to bring down. Bill, more news.
Yeah, the other Gareth in the whole side, Carvel, he seems to have picked up calf injury. It's not confirmed yet, but he's gone straight for the dressing room and looked very unhappy. Sean Briscoe, meanwhile, is back on the sidelines with 5 stitches in a cut mouth. Meanwhile, the touch judge is on the pitch.
Indeed, I think he saw a short, sharp right, not from Mick Slicker, but from Sean Penkovic.
Well, silly play, really. Tackle had been completed, and then he just came in late.
Sean, just...
Well, you get the forward, does all the hard work, and then you just throw that. That's silly play. You've got nothing to prove, other than that you've been sucked in.
And I think Hull might take the shot at goal here for the 2 points as we're approaching half-time. Sean Penkovic, the offender. He started at hooker against York in the Cup. But his last 2 starts, as tonight, have been at scrum half. Former Halifax man, only 21 years of age, Penkovic. But his penalty has given Paul Cook the opportunity, with less than a minute now to go to half-time, just to add a couple of extra points to the Hull total. The rain that we had on Bank Holiday Monday at London has followed us north to the McAlpine Stadium. Dreadful conditions. Cook to make it 14-0, which he does.
Eddie, I was just going to make a point then on the penalties. Last season, Huddersfield had the worst record in terms of discipline and conceded more penalties than any other side in the league. That has improved this season, but it's really been a problem for them in this first half.
Well, Sean McRae will be satisfied with a 14-point lead to take with him into the dressing room. Well inside the last minute now. Might just get time for the kick-off if Paul March is quick. We'll have 1 tackle then. And he just ran the ball over the sideline, Peter Lupton, because he knew that we were in the last few seconds of the game. Didn't please the Huddersfield fans much, but it really pleases the Hull supporters. And they're on their feet cheering a 14-0 half-time advantage. 2 tries, McNicholas and Whiting. Controversy about the McNicholas try, but Hull are ahead by 14 points to 0 at the break. Half-time here at the very, very wet McAlpine Stadium, and the Huddersfield Giants 0, Hull 14. McNicholas, Whiting with the tries, and Cook with the 3 goals, and he's missed 1 or 2 as well. John Sharp delivering his half-time speech. We saw him making his notes for this during the course of that first 40 minutes. 11 seasons at Hull, 2 Premiership finals at Old Trafford for Hull when he was a player, but now very much the coach of the Giants and going well in the Super League. And Sean McRae, they've won 10 of 13 against Huddersfield in Super League since these 2 clubs joined the party in '97, and it's going their way in that first half. I don't think either coach, though, would have thought much about this. I know we have the vagaries of another English spring on our hands, and we saw the dreadful weather on Monday at London, but these conditions here making it pretty tough for the coaches maybe to alter their game plans, and it's tough for our boys outside as well. Poor old Clarkey, the rain follows you around all over the show, Phil.
It does. It's a bit harder out there than what it is on the sideline, and I think the players have done remarkably well considering the conditions. We have seen quite a few drop ball, but I think they're still putting on a pretty good show. We looked at the 2 fullbacks before the game, really, and the contribution that they might play to the side. They've both been very, very busy, and as usual, Paul Riley has come up with quite a lot of ground for his own side. Sean Briscoe, less so, but also plays an important role in where he positions himself in the game itself. You see that Paul Riley again began the game in a standing attacking attitude that the Huddersfield side had, really, right from the kick-off of the game. They looked to counter-attack there with the space they created, and really it was a fantastic beginning really for them, after which point really maybe then Hull, I thought, gained the dominance of the game. Gareth Carvel is one of the consistent performers of the last few weeks. He's taken the ball forward strongly, and the thing you can say about Hull is that they've consistently played well this season with the exception of one game. Paul Riley gets in, makes himself really a nuisance to the opponents against him. He's a difficult player to pull down, but Briscoe plays a different role. It's where he positions himself in the game that makes him such a good player. Reading and his anticipation of that kick is absolutely excellent. Hull, well, fantastic game I think so far from them. Can Huddersfield lift their effort and their intensity for the second half?
Well done, Phil. And while mentioning, of course, the men on the sideline, we mustn't forget our cameramen as well. They are out in all the elements, bringing you the pictures of this match here. And at half-time, seeing that Hull are ahead by 14 points to nil. Now, on Monday, the London Broncos entertained the Bradford Bulls in conditions very similar to this. It was hosing down all day then. Brian, you made the point in the commentary during the first half. You have your game plan, then the rain comes. You have to stick to your game plan, do you?
Weather conditions. I think England's developing a monsoon season. I'm looking at the last couple of games. You can't be as expansive because the reality is we've seen Huddersfield try to do that, but in essence you have to stick with what you played, you practice to do. So you're hoping that they can come up with the players, the similar players and the areas to attack the opposition that you want them to. But the reality is you have to play more emphasis onto your kicking game, onto patience, onto staying at the right end of the field, hoping you can force an error because of the conditions. And I think that will be playing a part in both coaches' addresses at half-time. They'll be saying, Huddersfield will be saying, we need to get to the end, find some pressure. Hull will be saying, well, let's not waste time down at our end where they can force some errors. Let's kick early in the tackle count, chase really well like they have chased, and stay down that end of the field.
We've been talking this year, Brian, about the new football that we're operating with in Super League, and we have been saying, Steve-O and I never have to pass it and touch it, of course, we've been saying it appears to be better than what we've had in the recent past.
I think it's a whole lot better. I think the standard of catching and passing and handling that's on display tonight with the conditions is exceptional. And I think that's helped by the ball. It's not designed to be kicked, it's designed to be passed. The other thing about this ball is if you let it bounce, watch out, because it's going every which way but loose this year, and it's embarrassing a few people. Now it's interesting that Phil mentioned Sean Briscoe there in his positional play. Huddersfield are known for the little reverse kicks, chip kicks, tricky kicks, and they've gobbled them up. And they've been there early. We've seen Paul Riley, who's doing a manful job for Huddersfield, get back there, but has nearly been caught surprised by the bounce of the ball. It will play its part in this second half. It may play its part in getting Huddersfield back in this game.
Well, the first half started so brightly for Huddersfield from the kick-off. They ran the ball at Hull, but then, Steve-O, it all came tumbling down for them like the rain, and they had a couple of dodgy decisions just went against them at vital times.
Yeah, okay, it wasn't the best start for them. Well, it was. They made that break, but you've got to remember that Brandon Costin had to leave the field of play. That is so influential to this Huddersfield side, and it was a big miss. I'm sure that John Sharp knew it was going to be able to, but this should never have been a try. It was a mile forward. Good opportunity. It's the second time they did that in the first half where they get the sliding defence and the long ball. On this occasion, it was from Richard Horne, and eventually the try scorer McNicholas, but it was about a metre forward. How on earth? You can see there that Russell Smith actually had the whistle in his hand. He just took it to one side. You see it from a different angle here. And look at this. No momentum there because Richard Horne is taken out, runs into the brick wall. Good work though by Yeaman. Kept his cool. And he's impressed me, this fella, the second rower, Paul McNicholas, him for a try. And then, in such wet conditions, you expect it. It wasn't the best attempted penalty kick, was it? And then Ben Cooper does everything right to get out in the field of play and ups. But a soak comes out. And Whiting, who's another player who's, he certainly impressed me in that first 20 minutes when he came off from the bench. You just get the impression that the body shape of this whole side, very strong, they're doing everything right. Surprisingly, as we mentioned through that first 40 minutes, that the in-goal area is so deep. Supposedly John Sharp would have wanted that to be an advantage to the Giants. I'm afraid it's turned the other way around because Sean McRae will be very, very happy because the kicking game from Hull has been nothing short of superb.
Yes, John Sharp with work to do. Brian, he's had 12 games previously as head coach in the Super League, 9 victories, impressive strike rate. Can he make it into double figures?
Absolutely. He'll be preaching confidence in there. He'll reshape his team after the loss of Costin. And what he'll talk about is their performance at Warrington last week when they came from behind to steal a show. They can score points, they just got to the right end of the field. but Hull will be saying the same things. I can't see Hull letting this 14-0 lead slip because of the conditions. I think they'll be smart. I think you look at their shape in attack and they're threatening every time they get the ball. I think it's going to be a tough uphill task, but they're at home. They'll be talking about stamping their mark here. They'll be asking for certain individuals to stand up and show up and be at home and get the points for them.
And Huddersfield are inside that top 6, and if results go according to plan for either of these two tonight, one of them could be third at the end of this evening. Well, Huddersfield beat Hull here, 30 points to 14 last year to end a run of 7 straight beatings against Hull. And Russell Smith comes out, and Huddersfield now will attack from right to left as we watch, and Paul March will get the second half underway. You get the feeling, Steve-O, for their own confidence that Huddersfield need to score first.
Yeah, of course, that's the objective, especially in the first 10-15 minutes, but I think field position was something that they lacked. They also gave away some very silly penalties, and when you keep doing that, it's that field position you give up. If you give them an extra 40-50 metres, then they'll get the confidence and you start to struggle. A few times, as you mentioned, Hull, their kicking game has been superb, their chase is good, and they've just kept turning around these big forwards in the Huddersfield pack time and time again.
Here goes Richard Swain. Last tackle. Good defensive effort here from Huddersfield. And there's the kick from Lupton, but not a good one. Straight down the throat of Donlan.
Yeah, the one thing you can't afford to do when you are kicking, irrespective of whether it's on the first or the last, is that in these conditions you don't want to send it right down their throat. You've got to make sure that that ball hits the ground, and we've already spoken to Brian Noble about that fact that this new ball, when it does hit the surface, it can go anywhere.
Two sides on show here tonight with several key personnel missing on both sides. One of them is Darren Turner of the Huddersfield Giants, who's talking now with Bill.
Darren, 14-0, certainly not beyond the Giants, but you do need a good start to this second half, don't you?
Oh, we certainly do. We need to look after the ball and play in the right areas of the field, which I've just seen a good kick going there and a good chase, so hopefully, fingers crossed, play in their area, play in their red zone, and hopefully come up with few mistakes in this awful weather.
You think you're saying the kicking game's been the difference between these two sides? Hull have been doing it better, basically.
Oh, yeah, I'd say the kicks have been superb, and the chase have been even better than that, so I think that's where the pressure comes from, especially like again today when it's really wet and it's not a very nice day, and that's where the pressure comes from.
How big a blow was it losing Brandon so early on, Brandon Costin?
Oh yeah, I think Brandon's having a superb season. He's a pivotal figure for Huddersfield Giants, so it's a tremendous loss. But we've got some great replacements in Ben Cooper, and Stuart Donald's gone into centre now, so we don't lose out there. But obviously Brandon's a class player, so we're going to miss him.
Terrific hit there by Stanley Jean has given Huddersfield Giants this territorial possession. Can they do something with it here with Crabtree?
And that's the right tactics, We saw Benkovic in the first half give away a silly penalty when really he should have been concentrated and do what Stanley Jean did.
He just couldn't pick it up, and Rayner has it for Hull.
They had the gap as well.
I think he was scoring the try then. Good tackle by Heffin O'Hare on Yeeman, and then he messes it up by having a second snap at the Hull man.
Well, we've been saying all season that the big improvement for the Giants this year, as from last and previous years, is their inability to keep their composure and stop giving away silly penalties.
And Russell Smith putting Huddersfield on a warning by Nick Slicker.
Yet again, another 40 metres downfield at 9-3. Gives you some indication of the lack of composure. And it's getting back to that point where instead of trying to hit somebody or whatever, get a good shoulder into the ribs, and if they aren't carrying the ball well, it'll slip out.
As Stanley Jean did to give them that possession, but Hull, the pressure has been relieved by courtesy of that penalty conceded by Heffin O'Hare, and here now is Horn, and he gives it to Dowes.
Don't be surprised, Eddie, if they go for a 1 point as well.
Richard Swain in centre field. Finds Paul Cook, and he offloads the ball to Higgins, who has found McNicholas. Oh, it was a poor ball from McNicholas. Gareth Rayner tackles Julian Bailey. Here is Paul Riley for the Giants. Well, they had the man on the overlap wide. Hull, and the pass from McNicholas wasn't up to the goods. That's a good run, and that's the penalty.
Yeah, that's still in play.
The run was from Penkovic, and the penalty from Dowds.
Well, just been praising the fact that Hull really have kept that composure going, but Dow's just completely lost it. It was milked, but it doesn't matter.
Here's Ian Morrison now for Huddersfield. Morrison, who celebrated his 21st birthday yesterday. This is Crabtree. Been playing really well for the Giants this year. Penkovic misses out Slicker, finds March, pops the ball up to Riley.
Again, the fullback just slightly too flat.
March again. Bailey holds on this time. Yeaman got the tackle in. Helped out by Swain and Paul Cook. Penkovic, it's with March. Stabs the ball to the in-goal area, and a better kick from Huddersfield because Colin Best, the only option was to put Cook to ball, and Huddersfield will get a repeat set of 6.
Just basics, that's all you need. A couple of occasions in the first half, this fella came to the rescue. He reads the game ever so well.
12-10, leads 10 minutes into the second half, have overturned the half-time deficit against Warrington. Look at that at Knowsley Road. Wakefield giving the Saints a real fright, and Wigan stretching it against Widnes, 22-4. Here's Stanley Jean for Huddersfield. They would love to get a try posted at the start of this second half. And here comes March again, and it goes wide once more. And Jones rather, manages to hang on. This is Riley again. That's 4 tackles gone, 2 remaining. Penkovic gives it short to Crabtree. And El Crabtree gets Huddersfield to within 2 metres of the line. Penkovic stabs the ball towards the in-goal, and it's picked up easily by Briscoe.
Good opportunity, good build-up, probably the best of the match by Huddersfield. Interesting to see how the Huddersfield attack has been mapping out. This is the other kick from Penkowic's little halfback. We've noticed that Penkovic is playing as the hooker.
Here goes Best, and they haven't got him again. Donlan missed him. Rorty hasn't, and Rorty gets him into touch, and the flag was up before the ball was released.
Well, I praised Colin Best just a few moments ago, and really he should have gone down at the first opportunity in these conditions. Take nothing away from the effort to drag the winger over the touchline by Rorty, but
good decision by the touch judge too.
Getting back to that point, John Sharp has obviously sent the message out. Paul March not going into the dummy half now. It's Penkovic that's doing that. March has been the first receiver, and he's gaining in confidence. All he needs now is the runners. They've got to work around him.
Nero ducks under one challenge. Can't get away from Swain or Liam Higgins. Plays the ball to Penkovic. Here is Mick Slicker. Great offload to Slicker. To Penkovic rather.
Will it be a solo from Stanley?
He's a dummy half. Stanley Jean loops the pass to March. March looked for Slicker and goes again on his own and flicks the pass out wide. I'll have it back with Rayner.
Not the best from Effin O'Hare there. Well, we saw on that occasion, I was just making the point, Eddie, in regards to Paul March, who was taking that first receiver, made the half break, but there was no one running with him. They've got to use him. It's no point him handling first receiver if there's no runners. There should be at least one on either side of him.
It's a real battle in the mud here at Huddersfield tonight, and Bill has some injury news from Hull now.
Well, Eddie, we saw Gareth Carvell go off towards the end of that first half, and it turns out it's a bit of a knee problem. He's got a bang on the knee, and they're not happy with it in the whole dressing room, and he's still off the pitch. Doubtful whether he will return. Sean Briscoe, though, who is back out there, has 5 stitches in that cut he got in his mouth.
The great kick and chase from Hull then, and Richard Horn got the tackle in on Paul Riley. This now is Effin O'Hare.
I must say the conditions now are starting to take effect.
And the players out there, that kick and chase from Hull, you could see quite a few of the Huddersfield forwards. They were struggling to get back the advantage line.
Here goes Stanley Jean though, turning and spinning. Attracting 3 to bring him down. Lupton was the one on top with Richard Swain. Penkovic, Rorty picked it up one-handed. Great offload as well. And here comes Morrison. He's grounded on halfway on the last. March the dummy half. The kick from Paul March will turn Briscoe around. And Briscoe runs the ball back again. But Penkovic leading the chase.
Much better, it'll be pleasing John Sharp with their effort.
Rayner.
But again, on a few occasions there when Huddersfield have the football, they're standing very, very flat indeed.
Nice run from Cook. Bailey with the tackle. And Briscoe is in the walls as we watch this. He is being checked on again. Stitches in the mouth, remember, earlier on for Sean Briscoe. And this is Richard Horn, jinking his way to halfway on the last. Wait for the kick here from Chester. There it is, down the line looking for Best. Oh, it's a good kick too, but it just found touch.
Not just as well, but great tactics. With the scoreline at 14-0. Just make sure that you're way down in the opposition red zone. Bit of a problem for the official, Russell Smith. Just hit the whitewash. Thought that we'd get away with it. They didn't.
Rorty to Stanley Jean as Huddersfield try and work this ball away from their own line again.
Pretty solid though, this whole defence, especially when they put them down in a scrum. They're doing on a man-on-man marker. And Mr. Riley goes looking yet again for the man who's involved in the tackle.
And that's Morrison, drilled to the ground by Chester.
Oh, great defence there.
Terrific defence. March though tries to inject a bit of speed. He finds Rorty. On it goes to Jones. McNicholas is in there.
You can see the speed of that whole defence out wide, getting right into the faces, not allowing the Giants any room to move at all.
Kick over the top by Penkovic will be picked up by Briscoe. Phil.
I think both sides have listened to very similar speeches and bits of advice from the coaches at half-time. They've played with simplicity, haven't they, in the start of the second half. They're just looking to attack their opponents really whilst defending. You see the speed with which they chase their own kicks really. Almost like players sprinting as if they're going to score a try. We don't always see that again rugby league. Obviously both coaches have identified that basically if we can force an error near opponent's line, it's our best chance of scoring a try, because you very rarely see long range tries in these sorts of conditions.
Ewan Dowes plays the ball to Richard Swain. Hull rolling forward towards the halfway line. They're there now. That's the last. McNicholas will play the ball to Swain. Here is Richard Horn. There's the kick down the middle of the field.
It's a good one as well. He was trying to dissect the fullback and the winger. But as has been the case throughout this evening, the whole chase has been good. Oh, Bailey looked as though he was going to be away then.
Important tackle, an important grab more by Kirk Yeaman. Here is Riley doing what he does so well for Huddersfield, chiming into the line. March, they're getting a bit of a roll on Huddersfield as Jones takes the tackle from McNicholas. March is there again, goes down the short side with Rorty, and Rorty gets the ball away to Bailey, and Bailey offloads well. And this is March who gets it away to Stanley Jean, and Stanley Jean, I think he scored for Huddersfield.
They got to the screen.
Will hand it on to the video ref.
It's very close indeed. He lunges forward. Does he get it there? Wonderful run from Stanley Jean. Has he got it down?
Well, he has there, but was that a double movement?
Well, he'll have to see.
Momentum taking him forward.
Well, the ball carrying arm's gone. Sadly to say, I'd say that's a double movement. There's a deliberate movement of the arms. He tried to keep the left one up, which he succeeded, but it was the right one that's down first. left one, should have. There you go. It's the right one down there.
I think that is the bit there, Steve-O, that
It's a lunge.
giving away.
It's a lunge forward. If it had just slid over the line, I think this would have been given. I'm going to go for no TRY.
Well, Stanley Jean,
I think he's stopped there, and then he moves.
He's 30 on Tuesday. He has a point to prove to Sean McRae, he believes, because he didn't think he was given a proper chance up there.
I'll be very surprised if this is given.
Stanley Jean waits. The try is disallowed. It's a penalty kick to the defence.
Such a fine line as well.
Well, he shows no emotion, John Sharp, but he'll be disappointed.
Yeah, he certainly will. But good effort by Paul March to give him the opportunity.
He was hauled over the try line.
If he'd have slid over there, he'd be fine, but
it's just the lunge, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a definite movement. The right arm certainly hit the deck. He kept the left one up.
So they've had the try disallowed for the double movement. That's why Hull have the penalty. That's why they're in possession. But it's a good opening 14 minutes to this second half by Huddersfield.
Certainly is as well, and full credit to either side. You get into a position there. You take away that in the first half where it shouldn't have been a try. The first one was a forward pass. Then you add this opportunity of 6, and this would be such a close game.
Yes, amazing, Brian Noble, isn't it? It was just that last lunge that they look for.
I think what's happened is Huddersfield have come out and the quality of their skills improved, Eddie. I think you look at their plays on the fringes, their execution's a whole lot better. They've got a belief that they can move the ball a lot better. Paul Marks has gone into the half now, out in the half, and he's made a huge difference. I think sometimes on those calls you've got to look at them in normal speed. I fancied it was a try for myself, and Huddersfield will feel themselves unlucky. But if they keep doing what they're doing, keep getting on their fronts and getting down the right of the field, they're now showing that they can punch holes into Hull.
Yes, they're showing that they are worth 5th place in the table just now. And Rorty nearly lost that. Good ball though wide, and it needed a good tackle.
And it was a good one there by Paul Cook. He's got through a lot of work as a standoff.
Bailey thought he was on his way to the line. Here is Darren Fleary, the captain, on the last tackle.
Maybe the chip over the top. Something a little bit different rather than the deep one.
It's Stanley Jean. It is a deep kick. It's gone between Briscoe though and Colin Best. And Best has got work to do. He can't do it. He's trapped in goal. Great chase from Huddersfield.
Certainly was, but you've got to point the finger at the winger there. He should have dived straight underneath the post. Well, he went from Huddersfield to Leeds via Sheffield here. Should have just slid right underneath it. Surely Sean McRae will have picked that up. But other than that mistake, he's certainly come to the rescue of his side on a couple of occasions.
Remarkable Colin Best. He hasn't scored for 3. He didn't even get one of the 15 against Salford last week. The goal line dropout total is evened up now. This is Heffin O'Hare.
Springing the step. March is certainly controlling things out there.
Stanley Jean.
They're posing the question. Something they didn't do to the whole defence in the first half. They're certainly doing that now.
This is March. Short ball, big hit by Whiting. Riley was on his way. March, wide it goes again. Oh, they put another one down. And it went backwards, is Russell Smith's call. That's the last one.
Well, maybe a little bit of luck is shining on this Giant side for the first time. It looked to me as though it was a...
Oh! It's bounced back to Riley! And he's held up.
What? Yes, it'll be the turnover. It's on the lap. What a wonderful effort. The defence there, how on earth did they stop him? It hits the crossbar. Riley says, I'm going to get 4. And they do ever so well.
Well, Briscoe's
underneath.
7 tries in the last 2 matches. He has saved one there.
And full credit also to Richie Barnett. I think the strength of the fullback Paul Riley would have gone over for a try there if it hadn't been for Richie Barnett coming in very late and just keeping the ball off the ground.
Well, amazingly, Huddersfield could have been well back in this match in the opening 18 minutes of this second half. Barnett coming in as the reinforcement, and Briscoe did really well to get underneath. his opposite number, Paul Riley. Offloading there by Dowes. This is Whiting again. And Crabtree and March wrestling to the ground. Still not up to halfway yet. They go for a 40-20 here with Richard Horn. It's a high looping kick though. Donlan's after it and pouches it cleanly. And the chase is led by Lupton.
Get back, Richard.
Impressive moments with that chase. We've mentioned it throughout, but they go as one unit, does this Hell outfit. They really go as a unit. They work hard.
Here's Riley again.
But they're on the rack, they know it.
Penkovic.
Huddersfield have upped the speed as well that they play the ball area.
Rorty trying to drive it through. Whiting standing firm with McMenemy. This is the last one for Huddersfield. There's the kick again from Penkovic off the knees of Briscoe.
Well, they applied the pressure and Penkovic was first there, but really that was a nothing kick. Either you go to try to put it in the in-goal area and get the dropout, or you just drop it behind the first line of defence. And it's getting to that point now, going into the final quarter, where Huddersfield have to do something different, change their tactics. They're finding it difficult to get through this whole defence. And the only way you'll do that, Eddie, is with a little kick.
Ewan Dowes has put a big effort in for his team tonight. This is Whiting. Bailey lifting the leg. He's drilled into the ground by Bailey and March. There's Paul Cook. Kick over the top. That will turn Donlan round. No, it won't, because Donlan gets to it first.
Great effort. That's the second occasion Donlan put himself in a magnificent position here. Once again, quick play of the ball.
Heffin O'Hare, the Welsh international.
It's been the key for the Giants. Second half, they really are up for it now.
Riley, good run over halfway.
Quick play of the ball now, try to shift it out to the left.
And that's what they're going. They're going right, actually, with March to Bailey, on to March, back to Riley.
Great build-up. Can they finish?
You feel that they need to get some reward for all this possession. Rorty, great ball to Bailey. Oh, he's knocked the ball forward.
Yeah. Nicholas was never onside. Penalty.
Oh, offside.
It's a penalty to Huddersfield.
First defence.
Bailey hurt as he got that ball out of the tackle.
But it's a half chance, isn't it?
Take him back.
Back on the inside, and you can see when the ball was slipped back on the inside to Bailey that the whole player failed to get back the 10. Well spotted by Russell Smith.
This is Jim Gannon for Huddersfield. We're in the last quarter. Penkovic finds Stanley Jean. A robust run from Jean. A good hit. In defence, Penkovic gives it width to March. March back to Riley. Will a full back be rewarded this time? No. McMenemy and Swain with the tackle. Penkovic once more. There's a siege on this whole line. It's Rorty.
On your line, Richard.
Riley waits. Looping pass to Stanley Jean. He feigns to go one way, back on the inside. Gannon gets the ball away. Fleary can't catch it to knock on.
They'll take the scrum 10 metres in. And again, it's come to nothing. Neat little play there, back on the inside, Gannon, and they just couldn't keep it up.
But Steve-O, we are watching tonight, Hull, and we can see why they have the meanest defence in Super League. John Sharp looking for the way to break them down, but just 22 tries conceded by Hull. They are really tight at the back.
Yeah, they certainly are, and full credit to them. They've worked it. We mentioned about the fact that they go as a unit, stay in a straight line, no one goes up early. And that means it's your defensive quality was another there, but it's gone backwards. Well picked up. He's had a big game, you know, Kirk Yeaman. Gets through his business. Very tradesman-like.
This is Barnett.
And it's just field position now for Hull. Drag it up and then make sure they've got a good kick.
Yes, at the moment it's not really a night for length of the field tries like we saw from Briscoe last time we saw Hull.
Eddie, you know, I've watched Huddersfield come back in a few games this season. They've been in some tight fought counters, and the one thing they have shown really is patience. I know it looks as though the clock's ticking away against them now, though, but they have seemed to stick to what they do. They've got a belief that the game goes for the full 80 minutes, and if they're capable of doing that, they're capable of getting a result. But at the moment, they're just coming up against an outstanding defensive effort. You can spend as long as you like practicing defence in training, but you need that individual commitment and desire when it comes to the game. Your lungs are on fire, your legs feel wobbly because you're tired, you've been having to defend, run backwards and forwards, and you're being hit by players running as hard as Stanley Jean with the ball. It takes a massive mental effort as well as a physical one.
Huddersfield, they need something from all this possession. Leeds are 16-10 up against Warrington. 65 minutes gone in these games. 26-20, St Helens just edging it against Wakefield. Good game at Millsy Row. And 22-8, Widnes with the latest score there. But there's no massive scores so far this weekend. And Huddersfield rolling forward again with Gannon.
Well, again, we see 3 or 4 inside passes, and it's not kidding, this whole defence. Got to change the tactics, little chip through.
And there is a chip through by Stanley Jean and Colin Best. Colin Best, he runs over the dead ball line and is pushed over the advertising hoardings by Stanley. And there's another goal line dropout coming up here for Hull.
Safety first by Colin Best, and rightly so, under a lot of pressure. But this is the type of kick that I've been calling for quite some time.
Well, now we can see why John Sharp has these deep in-goal areas.
A little bit late, it's also helped the opposition.
Let's make sure we hold the 10.
Interesting to see what comments we get from Sean McRae as to whether he was surprised when... penalty. Just saying about maybe when we see Sean McRae, whether he was surprised to see such deep in-goal area. Now they've got to tap it, there's no point going for the 2.
And Stanley Jean running hard again, but Swain standing absolutely rock solid. This is an opportunity for Huddersfield. It's Fleary!
Hands up 2. Let him up quickly. On your line 2.
Penkiewicz is there again underneath the Hull post. Rorty jinks inside 1, gets over the line. Has he lost the ball? Has he lost the ball? The referee will ask the video referee to make the decision.
Screen, please. See how the ball came out first, Ian. Was it lost or was it possibly stolen? And then let's see if it is a play-on situation, whether there's a proper grounding.
I think that was taken out, that could be a penalty. I think that has been ripped out by McNicholas.
No, it's Lupton, Steve-O, in there.
Sorry, Lupton, is it? Yeah.
Well, it's very difficult to tell.
It's hard to say. Rorty was spinning. I think he gives himself away with just tucking in the left arm. I'm going to go for a penalty here. What's the left arm? Just pull away from the act of tackling. It's sufficient.
The initial contact, he was allowed,
all right, yeah,
because he was 1-on-1, but then Barnett joined in, that's 2-on-1.
Yes, of course, but watch the left arm. He then goes for the football, does the tackle, and then pulls the left arm away. This will be a penalty, or will it be a try?
Well, it can't be a try
because he's gone for it.
It's going to be either a knock-on or a penalty.
It'll be a penalty. Trust me, Eddie. Well, I think that's quite clear. The left arm of Lupton has deliberately pulled it away, and as soon as Barnett sort of touched, that was a 2-on-1. Only just, but it's sufficient. They'll have to soak up more pressure, will the Hull outfit?
Well, that's your view. Ian Ollerton is tonight's video referee. It's what he thinks that counts.
Well, he's pulled it.
Well, has he or hasn't he?
He's pulled it. It's got to be a penalty.
Well, if he's pulled the ball away, if the 25, i.e. Lupton, has pulled the ball away, it's got to be a try.
Well, you said no, he can't give a try.
Well, that's if that's been stolen, as you say, by Lupton, the ball hits the deck. What about picked up by March?
Well, what about March? He puts it down.
Yeah, that's a try then.
No, he's lost it. He's lost it as well. Is this a penalty try? Oh, give me some coins. Well, this is a game of spoof.
Why are you thinking of making a call?
No, it's a game of spoof, isn't it? So many options. Is it a penalty try? Was he in the act of scoring the try?
Well, the reason that the video referee is looking at this so long and hard is that it is absolutely crucial to the outcome of this match.
Yeah, I thought March had put it down, but he actually knocked on. You could see that quite clearly. I'm going to go for penalty try, you know. Otherwise, why would
14 options?
Yeah, but why would the video referee take so long?
No try, penalty kick, attack. Ball was stolen by Lupton and then not grounded properly. Had it been grounded, Steve-O, then it would have been a try.
Yes. but poor March just couldn't hang on to it.
Well, it might take a while, and they do get the right decision generally, and that's why they take their time long and hard.
That's a knock on.
It's a knock on by Huddersfield. Then just gone.
Bit heavy there. Bit heavy. It's getting excitable out there. We didn't need this.
Frustration from Huddersfield.
Well, they were all into it, weren't they? There's a knock on. It doesn't have to hit the ground going forward. As soon as it hit Paul Cook, it was always going to be.
And Whiting was involved, and so was Penkovic, and then they all got involved.
Just hold it as it is, lads, hold your positions.
Whatever happened to that ruling, years ago, they said, if anybody runs in from a certain amount, we've already seen one, haven't we? Oh, big mistake. Oh, dearie me, that's a big call from Russell Smith.
And it's such a big call that Huddersfield disagreed vehemently and they've been marched 10 metres further forward.
It was a firebrand, isn't it?
It's Paul Riley who was caught.
Yeah.
And he is offside.
Yeah.
The referee's got it right.
And also the fact, I think the loose forward came out well before the ball had cleared the back of the ruck. Yeah, that point I'm trying to make at it. And I know at one time they sent an edict out that if anybody came running in to a help, then they would be reported and they would be suspended.
No. There's another penalty here, and it was Jim Gannon who went in high.
Well, there you see, we've just seen Paul Riley come 30 metres into it. They've got to do something about it, to make sure that
just a moment.
I'm not having you coming to me shouting in my face.
He's in the sin bin, Darren Fleary.
For abuse, I think.
Yeah, you can't.
He said, I'm the captain. Yeah, but there's... He said, I'm the captain, but there are certain ways that you talk to the official.
Jim Gannon.
You've gone running at the man, and in my opinion, Jim, okay, it's a flat arm, but you've definitely caught him high. We've got to get him low.
High tackle. Darren Fleary's in the sin bin because he ran at the referee and had a go at him.
Well, 2-0 tries. First Gene early in the second half. And close did Riley, didn't when they got the defence held him up. And then we've just seen on that occasion there. Certainly went for it. No doubt in anybody's mind there, and not surprisingly, things got upset. But you can see clearly the fullback Paul Riley. Why on earth did he have to involve himself into it?
Well, Hull in possession here now with Briscoe, and here's Lupton.
And I must say it's a big night now for Russell Smith. Keep a lid on this.
Here's McMenemy. McMenemy eventually takes a tumble 13 metres away from the Huddersfield line. Richard Swain off the deck to Richard Horn, and it goes wide to Cook. Ball popped up and March waited for the man. With Yeoman, and another penalty against Huddersfield. Bailey protesting his innocence. They're getting very frustrated, Huddersfield Giants, and wisely Paul Cook says, let's take the heat out of the situation and just calm things down with a penalty kick at goal.
Well, it looked a lot worse than what it was. I think they get the impression that, March put in it. Well, I've been praising Paul March all the way through this. He's pushing into it. He had to give the penalty. I mean, even if he missed the swinging arm from Paul March, fans are happy.
They can sense a couple of points heading back up the M62 with them to Hull tonight.
Well, I made the point this year that since this fella arrived at Huddersfield, John Sharp has certainly kept a lot more composure with his players, especially Paul March. He's a hothead at times, and we saw in that first half, remember, Penkiewicz threw a silly swinging arm.
Sean McRae's on his way down to ground level.
Well, he wants to make sure that they don't get sucked into doing anything stupid.
he knows that Huddersfield, they've had one in the sin bin. Last thing he wants is a red card shown to one of his players.
Here's Paul Cook with this penalty. Hits the post, bounces back, and it's pinched off the fingertips of Richard Swain.
No advantage for the Giants, so Russell Smith got it right.
And Riley is flat out and receiving treatment. Brian Noble, we've been watching all this. Pent-up frustration for Huddersfield, isn't it?
Well, I think that's what it is. I was about to say when you came to me last time, I think Huddersfield have been terrific in this second half. They just haven't found that final ingredient to get themselves over the line. They've come up with a couple short, the Stanley Jean effort and then the Paul March effort, and I think it's created that element of frustration. And just sadly, this last couple of minutes they've played into the Hull's hands. Well, there were a couple of discipline penalties getting around the other end of the field. Hull will just want to stay here now, because the reality is they've been under the cosh this second half. But you look at the other side of the coin and Hull will be really, really pleased with their defence. You can see that there's an element of pride in there. There's an element of they shall not cross our stripe, and everything that Huddersfield's thrown at them, they've been equal to.
Well, they're showing why they have the meanest defence in the Super League tonight, Hull, aren't they? In appalling conditions.
And they've had to as well. They really, really needed it, and the ability to just keep their line intact, because this second half, as Brian has just mentioned, Huddersfield have thrown virtually everything at them.
And the front rows of both sides having a real verbal battle as they go down for that scrum as well. But Hull now hunting a Huddersfield mistake in their own half of the field, and Stanley Jean turns his back on the tackler, thinks about the offload. March gets the ball away. Here's Gannon again.
Good hit from Higgins as well.
Penkovic, slicker.
Well, it looks as though it's going to be the 2 points for Hull, but John Sharp, the Huddersfield coach, will certainly be pleased what his side has done in that second half.
Yeah, but they haven't breached the line. That will disappoint him. Well, March with the kick through.
They could have had 3 tries, Eddie.
Oh, Briscoe almost left it then for Barnett. Took control of the situation in the end. Gareth Rayner's the dummy half.
It always amazes me, with these full-backs. They take their time, don't they? They look so casual. Surely they must be nervous.
Colin Best.
Well, it's just grinded out time now from the black and whites.
Well, Huddersfield now are looking for the mistake.
Well, in sheer desperation, they could do something silly, go for the flop, give away the penalty.
There's the kick downfield, and that will trickle its way over the whitewash. Just eats up a few more seconds.
Basics. They didn't need anything fancy. Higgins' kick into the corner was sufficient. Just eat up the clock.
Notice that Graham Horn has come on the field for his first appearance of the year. That's a bonus for Hull tonight. This, meanwhile, is Chris Nero. 7 minutes to go, Phil. Hull going home with the points.
Yeah, probably at this stage, although Huddersfield have learned, they've won some games in the dying minutes of the matches they've played in this season, so it isn't quite over yet. Like Brian Noble, I've been impressed with Huddersfield. I think it's been a great second half performance from them. But having said that, you really do have to give all the credit, I think, to Hull, because 27 minutes this second half, they had to, they came up with some outstanding defence, and they were being able to cope with the pressure that Huddersfield put them under and managed to deal with it very well. That's what you get rewarded for him, I believe.
Penkovic, the dummy half again, and March with a dab over the top. He saw space there, but it was quickly closed down by Paul Cook.
Nearly got caught there for a voluntary tackle, and just realised at the very last moment with Paul Cook that he had to show some emotion and movement on the ground.
Well, whoever gets to the grand final on the 16th of October, Steve-O, has to go through nights and days like this. Dreadful weather conditions, real scrap and fight for the point. Do Hull have the signs that they could be there in the big night at Old Trafford?
Well, they certainly have on this showing, and over the past 3 weeks they've gained confidence. They will be looking towards their defensive quality, and ask any top coach, they'll tell you, Brian, defences, they'll win you the games in the end, won't they?
Well, they get you to grand finals. They don't necessarily win you the grand final, but it helps you along the way. And I think early season form would suggest both these teams are going to be in the shake-up. But it's a long season. You know, I think it's 9th round, is it, or the 10th round? Only another 18 to go, so things can change.
You've been there 3 times though, Brian, 3 years on the run. You know what it takes to get there.
Yeah, you've got to stand up and through the season. I think the good thing about this competition is that with the advent of the top 6 and you know, fighting for the bottom spot as well, the competition ensures that you've got to play well at the middle, you've got to do something at the end, and you certainly got to start well. So I'm saying is that you've got to play reasonably well right throughout the year, and you're going to have peaks and troughs in form.
I must say though, Brian, that remember you absolutely...
Steve, here goes Briscoe.
I'm just saying you absolutely...
Penkovic has just left him.
Why on earth has he done that?
It looked like it anyway. The referee says play on.
Must have missed him. What I'm trying to say, Brian, is that you know, you took Penrith apart, you took Wigan apart at Oxford the first night. A lot of people were saying that you may as well just give the trophies to you, but you had enough common sense to say it's a long, long way to go, didn't you?
And it's a still long, long way to go. And there'll be teams that show form at different times in the year. You really need to save your best form if you can for the end of the season. You know, your last 6 to 8 games and your last 6 to 8 weeks, you need to be peaking if you possibly can. And all teams will have spells of injury.
Gareth Rayner is brought back for a forward pass in the end.
There's a late call, and the officials, I think, have got it right. Rayner thought he was well on his way to the corner flag.
Let's find out, Steve-O, who has won the TISO Watchers Man of the Match. Dave Hadfield.
It's not been a night for dazzling individual performances, although Sean Penkovic has certainly caught the eye for Huddersfield in the second half here. Some great defence from Hull, and players like Sean Briscoe, Richard Barnett have stood out there. But really it's been a night for the grafters, and that's the sort of player we've gone for. Paul McNicholas has defended extremely well. He's also scored a very good try, even if there was a forward pass involved. So he's our man tonight, Paul McNicholas.
Colin Best skips away from Stanley Jean. And he's got the Watchers Man of the Match, Paul McNicholas, and his teammates on the bench there gave him a good slap on the back for that. Good hands from Hull. Here is Richie Barnett, and the big New Zealander striding out. Through one tackle, can't get away from Jones. Huddersfield funneled back in numbers.
Good hit from Penkovic there as well.
And another one in the bin.
Professional foul yet again. It's a very tight outfit now, the Giants, and they were caught out wide. He did well though, experience shown by Richie Barnett. Knew he didn't have the legs to go in at the corner, but made sure he kept in the field of play.
Now March just held on for too long, so he goes to the sin bin. His night is over. First into the showers anyway.
He's had a big night. He certainly played well in the second half, but Sean McRae knows that through sheer hard work in that defensive line, that will be the most pleasing factor. Maybe to score from here, maybe a set pattern. This is the time to do it.
Well, we've had no points in this second half yet. It's 14-0 at half-time, 14-0 now, and we've got just 2 minutes of the game remaining. But Huddersfield defending with only 12 men. And here is Briscoe. And Briscoe, he's got stitches in the mouth, don't forget.
I'm not surprised, Penkovic has been at everybody. He's had a big second half, hasn't he?
Swain, and they wrap it up with a try from Graham Hall. And a smile from Sean McRae, because on his return to first team duty, 19-year-old Graham Hall has wrapped up the points for Hull.
Well, Huddersfield throughout this night have been utilising the pass back on the inside, and it was run from Richard Swain that created just half the gap. He gave the impression he was going to go to the right, through the dummy, and went through it. And that certainly would please Sean McRae.
Little smile of satisfaction from the Hull coach.
Well, it shows the experience as well from the New Zealander Richard Swain. It's just a little dummy, but it's sufficient against a tired defence. Once they take a step in weight conditions, they can't retract, they can't go back, and it was an easy try for this fella in the end. Well worked though.
Well, he's missed all 11 so far, the last 6 of last year. With Richard Horn, they have been on scholarship together with the Hull club since they were 2 14-year-olds. And here's another local boy, Paul Cook, adds the extras. It's 20 points to 0 to Hull here at McAlpine Stadium. A dogged performance from Hull tonight. Let's wrap up the other scores for you. Leeds 23, Warrington 10. The leaders carry on. Only 6 points in it at Nosey Road. Saints 26, Wakefield 20. And Wigan 26, Widnes 8 at the JJB Stadium. Here at the McAlpine Stadium, Graham Horn's try wraps up the points for Hull. A truly dogged performance from them in defence. They kept Huddersfield pointless in both halves. Huddersfield tried their hardest in that second half. Could have had 2 or 3 tries themselves. Match has some controversy surrounding it, and Russell Smith getting a bit of a hard time from the Huddersfield fans as he makes his way off the field. But Hull go home victorious. They have won here by 20 points to 0.
Rise of the Machines, now showing on Sky Box Office.
Thanks. That's supposed to do. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Oh, thanks. You'd always the same, you, when you've had one of your big nights out.
Abby's new reward mortgage gives you 1% of your mortgage back in cash every 2 years. On the dot, no catches. If you fancy a mortgage that rewards loyalty, pop in for a chat.
He won't be playing, you will. Lead your country to glory with UEFA Euro 2004. EA Sports. It's in the game.
Come on, Paul. Time to go.
Go where?
The old people's home. They'll look after you now. It's for the best.
Are you mad? I'm 55.
I know, but I've had a word with them. They'll take you. Come on.
Get off. Why should I go live in an old people's home?
Because I want to put a snooker table in your bedroom and the kids are frightened of your moustache. Now come on. Avanti.
Starting this Saturday and continuing next week, The Sun is giving away some fantastic PC games, including The Simpsons, 13, Splinter Cell, and Lord of the Rings. That's over 170 quid's worth of wicked games, absolutely free, and no tokens to collect. Get this exclusive offer only with The Sun.
Bev?
Kev! Bev!
Kev? Bev? Kev?
Bev! Kev!
With an AA car loan, the typical APR is just 6.6%. So you might surprise yourself with what you can afford.
Nice car.
Thanks! We used to have one of those.
To get more car for your money, call the AA on 0800 374 999 or visit theaa.com. Call now and you could also get a free AA car inspection.
Get ready!
Hey, you guys are stuck together!
For double trouble! Stuck on You! With outrageous DVD extras!
Cool!
On DVD and video now! Oh, if your lawn is a farce, weeds are right pain in the grass. Simply shake the sound and in a week. Cheer up Evergreen, makes it lush and green. It's the easy peasy way to get the lawn of your dreams.
The
new 110 horsepower HDI Citroen Zara Picasso with overboost. Now from £12,945 with £2,800 cashback applied until 31st of May.
Another day. Another fake dollar.
Got a wife downstairs that thinks we've won the lottery.
Or another bust-up.
Can't see myself lasting it if I carry on like this.
The controversial £1 million hoax, 9 o'clock, Sky One Sunday.
Tonight for Leeds, St Helens, Wigan and Hull here at the home of the Huddersfield Giants. An important night for Hull as they consolidate in the top 6. Let's get a word with the man of the match, Paul McNicholas. He's with Bill.
Paul, congratulations on a man of the match performance. There you go. First try for how long?
Oh, since May last year, I think, against Manly. Yeah.
Was it forward?
I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't matter now. I mean, there was a lot more to this game apart from that, wasn't there?
It was, we wanted to go into our week off this week, 14, one game ahead of these guys, and we got that, and hopefully we can go on and win against Leeds next time.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much, and I'd just like to thank Tiso for the watch too. Cheers.
Paul McNicholas, the man of the match. Let's take a look at how all this evening's action leaves the table. Leeds still on top, Saints second, Hull now a third, Bradford fourth, Huddersfield fifth, and Wigan are in the top 6. I think that's for the first time this year. Sean McRae, the Hull coach, is now talking to Bill.
To nil anybody in Super League is a great achievement, isn't it?
It is, and probably a night like tonight, there's a chance of a side not scoring because it was hard to control the football, but you've got to defend well, and I thought we did that. They had a lot of pressure on us, and our online defence was very good, and I thought we responded well with some good plays, and I thought we kept a very simple game plan in order for the 80 minutes, and we stayed very disciplined, which is important, and come away with a good victory.
You sure have. Thanks, Sean.
Pleasure. Cheers.
An excellent victory for Sean McRae and Hull FC. As you see, they're up to third place in the table. Disciplined, dogged, defensive, all the D's tonight, but an A-class performance, Brian Noble.
And you can see he's real pleased with that big fat 0, isn't he? You know, not to concede a point is great for a coach. And I thought they were under pressure. I think, again, we've seen them counterpunch a couple of times, and Huddersfield they'll take a lot out of this game as well. I think 4th and 5th was, I think it showed in the way they approached the game, both teams, and Huddersfield won't throw everything away with that. There'll be some pleasing things for their coach. They'll talk about things that they didn't quite do right. But you've got to say that Hull keep finding the counter punch and win at the right end of the fields. They've got some players that can prize open defences, and that was a thing that Huddersfield just didn't quite have tonight.
And we were talking all the way through the match about Huddersfield's improved discipline. Russell Smith has caned them tonight. 15-7, I think the penalty count was, Steve-O. That's something that Huddersfield will try and work on in the week ahead, but they ain't going to throw the towel in the Giants.
No. I don't think their coach John Shell be overly concerned in regards to that. Yes, it was a heavy tackle, penalty count, but the big problem is that they were frustrated. Look, right from the very first start in the second half, Stanley Jean, double movement. It could have been given the other way. I've seen them given. You can just see that the left arm just lunges forward, and then it was 2 after. Yes, they had 2 tries disallowed after that, and they were wondering, their approach worked very, very good. And that's the reason why I think that John Sharp will not be over concerned in regards that department of the penalties, because they were frustrated. They knew that the game was slipping away, but full credit, as Sean McRae has said, his defence was absolutely superb, and they will be a threat this season.
They will. Very quickly, Brian Noble, you've seen your team slip down the table tonight. You've not even played.
And that's the nature of the competition this year, isn't it? It's very tough. It's very aggressive at the start of the year. As I say, we just need to look after our own midding, get ourselves to where we need to be towards the end of the season, and I'm confident we're making great strides in practice, and we will do on the field.